The second lesson is we're going to solve multi-step equations. We already did problems like number 1 and number 2, so I just want you to go ahead and do number 2. You can skip number 1 if you would like. I want you to complete number 2 right now, so pause the video and start with that one. On number 2, you should be adding 5 to both sides. Then you would get 3x equaling -4. The problem with this one is that you're going to divide by 3, but when you divide by 3, your calculator may or may not be giving you a fraction. It might give it to you as a decimal. So one way you could write it is as a fraction, which is -4/3, and that is written right here in front of you. So you technically didn't even have to do anything on your calculator, because if you showed your work it would be right there. Otherwise you could write it as a decimal, but you want to make sure that you're writing it exact. So that means you're going to write it as -1.3 repeating. So the only difference between the problems you were doing yesterday and today is that you might have some fraction answers. Okay, let's take a look at number 3 down here. On number 3, you have 6 plus x over 7 equaling -10. Remember, we're going to start furthest away from the variable, so that means I'm going to subtract 6 first, which would be x over 7 equaling -16. And then I'm going to come back and get rid of the 7, so I'm going to multiply by 7 and get an answer of -112. Let's have you try number 4. So on number 4, you have -12 minus 2/3 x equaling 7. Your first step would be that you would want to add 12 to both sides. So you would get -2/3 x equaling 19. Then remember, we've already discussed this. You're just going to go ahead and divide both sides by that 2/3. So on your calculator, you should be typing in 19 divided by -2/3. And then you should end up with another fraction. Now, it might be giving it to you as a mixed number, might be giving it to you as an improper fraction just like that, or it might give it to you as a decimal, which would be -28.5. All of those would be acceptable because those are exact answers. Okay, let's take a look at number 5. Number 5 is where you have more fractions. However, they both have common denominators. They both have a 4 on them. So again, you're just going to type it into your calculator. They both have x's, so since they're like terms, I'm going to combine them. So I would type in -3/4 plus 1/4, and I get a half. So after combining those, you should be getting -1/2 x. -9 doesn't change, and I still have my 11. Now I would add 9 to both sides, so I would have -1/2 x equaling 20, and then we would want to divide both sides by that -1/2. So your answer would end up being -40. I want you to pause the video and try number 6 because we did one of these yesterday. On number 6, your first step should be multiplying both sides by 2. So that would give you 3x plus 5 equaling -28. Then your next step would be subtracting 5, so you get 3x equaling -33. And your last step would be dividing by 3 so that you end up with -11. This was a very quick review of solving multiple step problems. So if you still have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, there's a link on Canvas that you can utilize to help you give more support.